Speaking of injuries, speaking of calves, speaking of their quarterback, Russell Wilson, in a span of 1 week, tweaks calf twice.
Ooh.
He's out. He didn't tear the calf, but the fact that he's dinged it twice, that's not good. Now, granted, they got 6 weeks of the rest of camp in Latrobe for him to go through all the intense therapy, wear the wrap and everything. But the fact that he got nicked up twice in a span of about 5 days, Pittsburgh is one of the first teams that opened camp. That's not good. This is terrible news in New England. Christian Barmore, great defensive tackle. I mean, Belichick drafted a really good player. He's a warrior. He's in a hospital. He's got multiple blood clots.
Whoa.
Very serious. They did not say whether it's in the lung area or whether it's in the leg calf area, but he's on blood thinners and he's going to be out. He may miss the start of the NFL season. And he's a really fine player. And we know one thing in history of medicine: you don't screw with blood clots. That's very dangerous stuff. And it just develops. So he's out. Dallas has lost one of their pass rushers, Sam Williams, who's also a great special teams player, defensive end. Last night, torn ACL, gone for the entire season. Bad news for the Detroit Lions. Michael Badgley, who is a very good field goal kicker, torn hamstring, gone for the season. Green Bay situation, the contract, unique. They gave Jordan Love, based on one good season. He sat for a couple behind Rodgers, played last year, played really well. $55 million average. $55 million for one good season in his career.
Good for him.
The capitalist in you says yay. And Miami, Tua Tagovailoa, who's done very well in his career and has really evolved as a game winner rather than a game manager, he gets the extension. He gets $53 million. So that's real positive news there. You got the 49er logo up there. This is the update on Brandon Ayuk. He's unhappy. He wants to be traded. This love me not thing in San Francisco just wears everybody out. New England's interested. New England's got cap space. It's obvious the Patriots are going to have a high number 1 pick. They're having trouble signing Matt Judon, who's one of their top pass rushers. Frisco needs a pass rusher. The rumor mill out there is initially San Francisco offered Ayuk for the number 1, New England's number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then New England came back and said, well, we want more than just Ayuk. Let's take your number 1, put it in the pot with our number 1. And Frisco came back and said, add Matthew Judon, the unsigned linebacker. He's got 1 year left on his contract. Add him into the equation. So what it would be would Ayuk and Frisco's number 1 at the bottom of the board. For the Patriots, number 1, it's probably going to be high, and the veteran pass rusher Judon. That kind of looks like a win-win trade for me. Thing is that Ayuk could be leaving a Super Bowl team to go play in Foxborough, where the weather is ratty in November and December. And by the way, they're not going to win any bloody games because they may have the worst offense in football. So that trade makes sense. So, John, there's a lot of names there, a lot of topics. Go ahead.
The trade makes sense, but the grass ain't always greener.
Exactly.
And so he's going to land over there in the Patriots, and they've got a lot of question marks at quarterback. I mean, he's not going to get the ball the way Brock Purdy can get the ball to him. But just for the Steelers, I mean, Russell Wilson, calf problems. I mean, how old is he? He's getting up there, right?
35, 36, I believe.
Yeah. So maybe, maybe he might be a bit shaky. And then they also got the quarterback Fields, right? From the Bears.
Justin Fields. He took all the snaps over the weekend and he was throwing bounce passes and he was overthrowing guys. He was all over the place.
Oh my God. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a mess. Right
but
now.
Again, they got 6 weeks to babysit Russell Wilson and get him totally healthy. But the fact he tweaked the calf twice in about a 5-day span, I don't like that.
And then wait for the season to start. It's even going to be worse.
Yeah. So that's where we are. Those are the news and notes around the National Football League. You're a pro football fan. Hey, you be the general manager. Would you do this San Francisco, New England deal? Ayuk to the Patriots, flip-flopping number 1s, Matthew Judon? Or would you call New England back and say, why don't you take Deebo Samuel instead? And we'll just make that an easier trade to execute because he's under a long-term contract. So that's where we are in football.